Hey gorgeous, we are back today and we're talking about how to be in that quantum queen, divine feminine consciousness. This topic has been on my mind for a long while and it's due time we talked about it. So one of the first things I want to say today is that throughout my entire journey, what I've learned is that a queen is also a king. So what do I mean by that? I know that in my journey, by the time I discovered the whole world of like feminine energy and divine feminine and all that stuff, I had been in that divine masculine mode and burned out for so long living out of alignment that it just felt so delicious to completely fall into the divine feminine and it was just like, mommy, take me, right? But what I started noticing as I did, that for a while, was that a lot of the systems and processes and everything that I had spent a lifetime cultivating started falling apart. And in the beginning, it was like, that's okay. The divine feminine is all about the flow and the chaos. But I quickly realized that the divine feminine cannot really be in her alignment, in her flow, if it's not for the masculine structure and the masculine container. So for example, before I found the feminine energy world, I had a pretty good fitness routine. I had a really great household structure and all of these like beautiful systems placed that kept everything going and running. I had a nutrition plan for myself and the kids and everything. In the first 18 months that I found my feminine energy work, a lot of that started falling apart. And in the beginning, it was just so delicious to finally be in my feminine energy that I didn't care because my relationships were improving and everything just felt really, really great. But then I started noticing that everything else also had to be done. And the first thing I noticed is that I started like feeling lethargic again and started putting on weight, and a lot of like my old symptoms started showing up. It was like the earliest signs. So I was able to catch that. Second thing I noticed was that my workout routine was like almost getting non-existent. Like I went from working out consistently and feeling amazing to like working out whenever I felt like it, which wasn't a lot, because when do you ever feel like you need to be in the habit of it, right? Like if you're waiting for motivation, it's never gonna happen. So that was the second thing I noticed. The third thing I noticed was that the house was like in this like subtle state of chaos, and just because I wasn't doing the things on schedule doesn't mean that they didn't need to get done. And so we started like backtracking a little bit. And I also started noticing that if I was in my feminine all the time, then my husband was ending up picking up some of the slack, and he was getting really frustrated from being in his divine masculine all the time. Because remember, men and women have both masculine and feminine, and so both of us need to be in both at times. So that's when it really started clicking in for me that that's the reason that God gave me the divine masculine access too. And I have this really highly cultivated masculine side. And just because the divine feminine feels so yummy and delicious doesn't mean that I don't need the structure of the divine masculine. So think of it this way. The river is, think of the river. The flow of the water is the feminine, that's the divine feminine, and the container, the riverbed, is the masculine. If you remove the riverbed, the water just goes, like there's no river without the riverbed. So we need that container to be able to be in our divine feminine flow and that queen consciousness and that goddess-like state. So the biggest tips that I have for you in how you can actually live as a queen of your domain and as a queen of your life in everyday life is to know that you're gonna have to have those structures in place. You're going to have to automate a lot of stuff. When I say the word automate, I always get a lot of questions from you guys. Some of these things are like actually automated. For example, we have Alexa devices. I don't want to tip her off. And they set alarms for certain things for my kids, like the bedtime routine. Like she tells them when it's time to go brush their teeth, and there's like a lot of wiggle room in there so that they get to decide too. But it's like it's systemized so that I don't have to constantly be reminding them of stuff. And when they have things that they have to do, we've trained them where they know that they can set an alarm for themselves on the thing, so we're not having to remind them. So when I say automation, there's that literal automation. But the second automation I mean is that things that I have to do every day, like there's no ifs and buts about it. I have automated that process by taking it away from the conscious mind and programming it in the subconscious mind, which means that there's no guessing. Like when I wake up, I am meditating. Like there's no like, I wonder if I'm going to meditate today. After that, I am working out with my daughter, Alina. And like, there's no guessing in there. Like we are working out. And actually working out with her has been kind of a blessing and a curse, because you can't ever take a day off now. She will not let you take a day off. She has to work out every day. So that's also automating, is that you've got a buddy that's not going to let you take time off. So there's actual automation, and then there's like automation where something has become a habit. Because I have a pretty solid morning routine and a pretty solid evening routine, I also have a lot of flow, because I know that the most important things will get done. The third thing I've done as far as automation is that things that we ordered all the time, like I've talked about this one before on Amazon Prime, if they have the subscribe and save option, we've put that on subscribe and save, because what that does is that those things are coming every month. I don't have to think about, do I have the vitamins? Do the kids have their probiotics? Do I have my protein shake? Like all of that is, if it's available on subscribe and save, we put it on subscribe and save. If you want to know what's on mine, you can check out my Amazon store in the description box. Everything's in the different categories. What else have I automated? I have automated a lot of stuff for my business. The emails that you guys receive are all automated emails. So I write those emails, but I don't write them every day. I've written, like when I sit down to write, I write multiples and then I schedule them so that I'm not having to do, you guys know my husband's a process improvement expert, and he says he has, I forgot the term for it, but they say that the setup time for something is like the setting up to do something, and like the getting into that zone takes a certain amount of time. So when you're already in that zone, you're better off doing bulk than like doing one thing, like the same thing over and over again, if that makes sense. So when I sit down to do certain tasks, because I'm in the mood to do them, I'm like divinely kind of aligned and flowing, then I will just go and do as much as I can, however much I can in that flow. Because when you're working in that zone, you just produce on a completely different level. And here's the reason why. Anything that requires the birth of something or creation requires both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So you cannot have the queen without the king. You cannot have a baby without the ovaries, without the eggs and the sperm. Like you need both of those aspects. Anytime you're working in just one mode, it's not gonna happen. You need, like if you're creating something, you need both of those to create. So the number one thing I'm gonna say is that if you want to be a queen in everyday life, you want to know, where can your king support you? This means not only in your internal, within you, the polarity within you, but also the king in your life, your sons, your man. How can they support you as well? So that's another thing we've done, is that we have allocated things that need to get done around the house based on what people actually enjoy doing. And then there's like surrender, there's like letting go of the attachment and the outcome, right? Like think of it this way. If you had a company, if you were running a company, you have standard operating procedures, right? So you have to have an operating procedure. So the people that are doing certain tasks, they know how to do those tasks. And they do them so often that it becomes automated for them, and then no one has to micromanage it. Like there's no, are we doing this at this time or this time? Like, you know when you're doing it, right? There's a time and a space for it. There's a system for it. There's guidelines. And then beyond that, you can be in your flow. But if you're always in your flow, meaning you're just winging life, you're just gonna do it when you feel like it, you'll notice that that's not maintainable, because many times not feeling like it becomes a habit, right? Like not feeling like working out will become your natural habit, and then you'll never feel like working out. So I hope that this message resonated with you. Let me know in the comments how you're able to balance out your divine masculine and divine feminine. For me, like going through that self-aware Barbie stage and creating those systems which I've put in place in the self-aware Barbie activated program, all of those 12 systems was a game changer, because if I didn't have those systems to go back to, then I think that my feminine energy journey, as delicious as it was, the experience would have been downgraded, because I wouldn't have been able to maintain a lot of the structures and the containers that I do enjoy in my life. So I'm sure you have these too, and maybe you haven't really even thought about them. So go back and kind of become aware of where you have that divine masculine and divine feminine structure, and how is it holding your creation process in your queen consciousness in place. So to really be successful in all areas of my life, whether this is my personal spirituality, my relationship, my business, my kids, what I've done is I have realized and put together both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, because I truly believe that creation requires both. My business requires both, my relationship requires both, my health and fitness requires both, and even my spirituality requires both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And if you want to learn how to do this, join my email list. I've got the Raise Your Money Mojo challenge going on right now. It's a 3-day free challenge, and you get lots of juicy emails with a lot of the stuff laid out for you in how to practice it. Because like I like to say, you know, knowing is one thing and embodying is a completely different ball game. And so I think when we're in our masculine energy, we want that information and we want that knowledge, which is great. You know, I love that too. But you can't be living it out until it's embodied in your divine feminine, until it's in your subconscious. So I want you to think of your conscious mind as kind of your masculine and your subconscious as your divine feminine. So until you start actually knowing how to embody it and live it out every single day, moment to moment, then it's just more information and it's just more noise, and it's not really a part of who you are. So I feel like, you know how when you don't talk to your friend for a really long time and then you FaceTime and then you want to randomly just tell them everything? So for some reason, that's what I'm feeling like right now. I have like all these little snippets of vlog footage I took that make absolutely no sense, like random food stuff and activities that the kids were doing. So I'm just gonna like throw them all at you, and let me know in the comments if you like that kind of stuff or no. I know that people are always interested in what we're eating, and I have like little footage of food and cake that Irfan made and all these drinks that he's always making. So I'll put some of those here. Also, just to give you a quick heads up, I showed you guys the Lululemon pants, right? The workout pants. So remember how I love the Align ones, and I ordered another pair of the Align ones and the Wonder Unders. Okay, so the Wonder Unders, I do not like them. They're fine and I'll use them now that I have them, but I definitely regret ordering those. I should have just stuck with the Align ones. They were so great. So that just kind of wanted to give you that update, because I did mention it the other day.
Butter. We put this and mixed it for a long time.
And then?
It turns into whipping cream, and then if we mix it for a long time, then there's going to be milk in it. And then you have to take out all the milk.
Show the milk that came out. The buttermilk.
it's gonna turn into butter.
Mom made me this yummy, yummy coffee. All right, so this is what the finished product of that keto pound cake looks like, because the pound cake is right there. And then we added some whipped cream and some sugar-free Jell-O. And I'm just gonna enjoy now. How's yours, Bubby?
Good.
So I just woke up from my quantum nap, and our phone's making, what is it called?
Spinach sag.
Sag. It's like a spinach curry. Having spinach curry, some lentils with the fathead dough bread, keto bread. Thank you. What is it?
Pio pele.
Making different combination of drinks. So this is, it's like a lemonade twist.